It's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo. Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Wake in the building. Looking nice and pink.
I beg, I have gists.
Give us the gist.
I refrained from giving you this gist before the guest who came to our street yesterday.
Please tell me.
Ogun State Governor.
Hey! Oh, really? It's a lie. He came himself.
They say he drove. They say he drove around the whole area.
To come
Your
Hey.
Oh man!
Oh, I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
They say he didn't use siren. He had convoy. I said, "You are sure it's a Ogun State?" Me, I didn't. I wasn't there. Yeah. It is just.
He came to come and see for himself.
Oh. So we are
hoping.
We are grateful. Hopeful.
That the governor has come.
We are grateful that he came.
Yes.
Now let us see the action.
Congratulations, Wake. Ekorire no.
The dance, I will dance.
Ekorire no.
I will bring
For those of you that have no idea what she's talking about, she's been complaining repeatedly about the road in her neighborhood, and we're hoping that now that the governor has come to that neighborhood
and seen it for
himself, he to be fixed.
And she mentioned that on Tuesday that she had to put 2 trucks by herself.
3,
she paid
4.
Now 4.
4.
That she paid for it by herself. I think that...
So just for those holes, you know. And I didn't even scratch the surface. I didn't even scratch the surface.
We're thankful. I'm thankful. God do.
And my project ends on Friday. I will miss those kids.
It's good. So it kept you busy and happy and excited. So that's good.
More of this for you.
Amen. Amen.
Talk about how you doing?
I'm doing very well. I need a marketer with experience. I have everybody in my office seemingly are like students when it comes to business. Many of them are young. They've not had lots of previous experience. So I'm having to always train and teach. I would love to have someone that has a bit of years of experience, a little bit of experience within real estate marketing. That way, I don't have to tell them what to do. They can equally contribute to strategies on how we can move the company forward, because it can be a bit heavy if you're the one dropping ideas. And the ideas come from team as well, like in terms of young ideas. But you know, they always say you have to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and can do things better than you, have more experience than you. I want that kind of team.
You have a lot of mentors. I'm sure that some of them have hired people who have hired. So maybe they go to support you in getting somebody like that.
I'm announcing. I know that I'll get plenty DMs for those interested or know somebody. So please.
Mariam.
Damn, how did your name just slip my head? Mariam, how are you doing?
I'm the queen of sustainability. You have to queen you or something.
Yes, so
I'm fine. I'm fine. Today I have to call out NIPOST EMS service. I have been holding on to this too for a while, you know, until I get all my facts right. So I had ordered a few things from Sweden and it finally got here. Of course, when it got here, it took so long before they could reach out to us to come and pick it up. And then they put these charges on it, over 40-something thousand naira as charges. And when the person that went to pay for it asked for the
receipts,
the account details, it was for a
personal.
And I have the name of the person. And it was at the Ikota branch that this happened. And I'm calling them out because it's not the first time that this has happened. This person that we order things from says she gets this problem from any of the branches here in Lagos and in Abuja. And she was saying she lives abroad. She says, and she hears Nigerians complaining of Tinubu, complaining of Buhari. Meanwhile, you're the ones really spoiling the people's businesses. So NIPOS, our searchlight is on you right now. Please take care of that problem.
Still exist.
Many people have been complaining about your staff collecting monies into their private accounts instead of government accounts.
I think you should write a letter to them, don't you think, or something?
We will do that.
I think we should, so that and you can mention the person's name, so that it's well traceable.
So don't catch I didn't even know they still exist. NIPOST, isn't that the postal service?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let's go on a quick break.
What's up with you? No,
there's nothing happening with me. I'm just there. I'm going to speak today at UNICAF. I'm the keynote speaker. I'm talking on the impact of AI. But I had to go research. You know, he forced me to go and read up on AI, what it's doing, how it's going to affect the job market. Now I know quite. I mean,
we know what you have done with it. We've seen those pictures.
So I came up with a 3-page speech. I felt really proud of myself. You know, so I'm going today, UNICAF. I'll be there at Oriental Hotel. There, so speak and say a few things, that we know. Let's go on a break. When we return, look at the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Start with The Nation. Tinubu, world leaders, UN, AU, EU, reject Gabon junta. President mourns as national flag designer Taiwo Akinwumi dies at 87. Obaseki free to fix federal roads in Edo, says minister. Fashion displeased with Adebanjo over Afenifere. Osun APC expels 3 ex-Aregbesol's men, 81 others. Wike, I will deliver Abuja Metro Line next year. And protest in Ondo, Cross River over NDDC board says, yeah. Okay, which story? Okay, there's one more I think I missed. NSIA stakeholders partner on improved cancer treatment. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Obaseki.
Okay, go ahead, please.
The governor, the minister, the ex-governor of Ogun State, David Umahi, has said that Obaseki is free to fix any federal government road that is preventing Edo people from enjoying their life. That they don't say it's because of federal government, that all he needs to do, send a WhatsApp message. He's his friend. It's his friend, Obaseki is his friend, and he respects him a lot. That all he needs to do is just send him a letter, a WhatsApp message. He will give him the permission in 2 hours. Fix any road that you want, even if it's federal road. That what federal and government and the state, we have the same.
People are comfortable.
That we have the same.
Will they refund?
He's going to go and visit.
It's not
talking about the money.
And Tiani is not getting refunded for the 4 trucks that she put there.
That's not how it works, and we know. And we've heard the federal government say many times that they want to even stop that, where governors would say they have done roads and they need refund, their money refund. It just to send a WhatsApp message, we know it does not work like that in government. So
but they stop
no, but they are friends, that they are friends and colleagues.
Okay, they stopped the refunding thing because of there's always issue with the pricing, and I agree. If it is in your state, even if it's a federal road, it's going to make people easy. Fix it for them.
We're not discussing it. Let's move on to another topic.
Yes, I have the major headlines. So, as we're aware, there was another coup in Gabon yesterday, and the president, hours after he was declared president, was put under house arrest by the military. ECOWAS and other world leaders have shown their displeasure towards it. As we know, our president, through his spokesperson, says that they are not, they disagree with what has happened, and they're asking the military to go back and to the barracks, and the democratic government should be reinstalled. We also have ECOWAS, we have the AU, the UN, European Union, all of them made statements just, saying that this is not right, and that the security forces, the military forces should go back home and then release the president so that they can continue with the democratically elected government. But also we know that this happened because this is a government that has been in
family dynasty
54 years.
54 years. So his father did many years, and then he's done another. This was his third term.
Even though it's the grandson now that wants to come into power.
So even though they said that the election was marred with all sorts of irregularities and was very obvious, and they still declared him president.
Can I just say something? Because I wish it was our whole topic. But you see, Europe, all these people that are talking, when these people stay in power, they don't come and talk. Because it's benefiting. When the military now come, they now open their mouths. They say, when the people are doing rubbish, Iyadima's family has been there since I was a kid. They're still there. It's now the son that is ruling. You haven't spoken anything because it's benefiting you.
Okay, we have to move on, right? It's not our hot topic,
man.
Let's move on to another story. So the nation was put into mourning yesterday, and the president also, president and the governor of Oyo State had mourned the death of the designer of Nigeria's national flag, Pa Taiwo Akinwumi. He's an indigene of Oyo State, and he died at the age of 87 years yesterday. His son had posted on the Facebook page saying that the fleeting aspect of life has once more been brought to its essence to attention by the passing of his father. But a statement by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Angelale, President Tinubu noted that the national flag designed by the late Pa Akinwumi has survived as a legacy that reflects Nigeria's best qualities, including fruitfulness and resilience. The president expresses his deepest sympathy to the family of Pa Taiwo Akinwumi, OFR, who designed the flag in 1958. and following his past on 87. And same goes to the governor of Oyo State. Akinkunmi, do apologize for that. Akinkunmi.
He's so rest in peace.
He's so rest in peace.
We need to talk about the protests. So there's protest over the newly reconstituted NDDC board. The appointment, of course, was going to cover all the NDDC is the Niger Delta Development Commission. The Board of Trustees has been reconstituted by the President Bola Tinubu, and they covered all the states that are oil-producing states. And there was protest in like two major states protested who was nominated. The protests were hinged on the same thing. The two states, Cross River and Ondo State, said that the nominees that were appointed were from PDP. They are card-carrying PDP members that were appointed. In Cross River, from the APC Secretariat, the youth wing APC youth walked all the way from the APC Secretariat to the government secretariat to explain that blood of young people within Cross River was spilled in fighting for APC to win this election. It is wrong for a PDP person to be nominated to enjoy the sweat of APC youth and APC members in Cross River State. More to that is the fact that the person nominated is not from the oil-producing area of that state. Similar was the protest in Ondo State too. The person is a PDP member from an oil, not from the oil-producing area of the state. These two nominations, their complaining needs to be reversed, and people more suitable who worked for APC that is involved in the structure of APC within this state should be the one to pick. Others were celebrating. River State were celebrating. Delta was celebrating because they felt they got the right nominee to fit into that role. But those two other states protested.
Okay, moving on now to the Punch. Gabon, UN, Commonwealth, others condemn coup. Tinubu warns of spread. NULGE urges Tinubu to probe local government allocations diversion. Banks fire 110 top executives, others over the 80 billion naira fraud. Vandalized pipelines, marketers predict more fuel queues. NIN registration, FG records 48% of monthly target. Lagos Blue Line Rail begins operation September 4th. Ogun pastor sets lady on fire during special prayer. VK Des PDP says nobody can expel me. And Cameroon Dam FG sets up temporary shelters in state. Who has the Ogun pastor story?
I have the Ogun pastor story.
What happened?
A 21-year-old lady identified as Shukura Wodumi was set ablaze by her pastor, Taiwo Odebi. He was trying to perform deliverance on her. So he told her to come with perfume, candle, and eggs. Amazing Grace perfume, local eggs, and a candle. And then he started to perform the deliverance. As he just lit the candle like this, Fiam, she just exploded. She just
caught on fire.
Yeah, her chest, her legs, and her shoulders were burnt. And
I think they've warned churches about this thing. This candles and perfumes.
Yeah,
inflammable.
Particular one that is inflammable, and you know, I think the worst part of it is that he didn't even pay for her treatment.
Oh, wow.
She was left to fend for herself. So, of course...
And they should have fire thingies around, maybe like fire extinguishers around. They're going to be doing that kind of deliverance.
Can you remember one like this?
It happened.
Circle like this.
Yes.
We had come from
abroad. Yes. Yes, I remember that happened. Really, really painful.
You know?
Okay, let's see. We can take one more story.
Okay, so I have, I have the National Union of Local Government Employees. They are calling for the investigation and monitoring of statutory allocations to local government councils. So this is on the back of the petition that has been written by the Ijebu East local government chairperson. We remember he had accused or alleged that the current governor had diverted over 10 billion naira that was meant for local governments. And so based on that, the National Union, NOLGI, has sort of added its voice to it, and they're asking for a lot of things. They said, first of all, that if we look at many investigations that EFCC and ICPC have looked into, many of the governors that have been locked up will realize that a lot of them were in prison because of funds that were meant for local government that they diverted, and that you can see that EFCC has continued to do its job, but they're asking the National Assembly to also set up an oversight committee that will monitor and investigate the allocations to local government. It says the federal government is talking about poverty alleviation at the grassroots level. There has to be like a connection with the federal government and the local government so that they can, you know, monitor how what happens to the funds, how it's spent, because many times money is allocated, but where it goes, how it's spent, the impact of what is not seen. And so they're adding their voice and they're hoping that this is done. But some local government persons went to the governor of Ogun State to beg for forgiveness on behalf of their colleague. And the chairman of local of the Ijebu, he said he did not apologize for anything. That was these people that went. But this was based on a viral video that, had been passing around. So we'll see how...
Let's go on a quick break now. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. Oh, who has another story? Should we move on?
Punch.
Okay, let's move on now.
No, vandalism. Sorry, I did quickly get this story. I'm so sorry. So yesterday we took the story about pipeline vandalism and the petrol queues that have been lingering in Lagos and Ogun State because of the pipeline vandalism. So the marketers are predicting now that there will be more fuel queues because they haven't refueled those particular stations because there is a consistent vandalism going on, and they are saying there's nothing they can do, that the only filling station that will be left to be able to sell fuel will be NNPC retail stores, that they are the only ones that can assure that there will be no issue with their own ability to load products. He said that they don't even know the quantity that the NNPC themselves would even have in stock as well. They are complaining that the government hasn't responded to them. They have explained the challenge they are going through. They have explained that their own personal, this is not the government, this vandalism is not affecting government money. The petrol has been deregulated. The petrol that is being stolen has been paid for by major marketers, and it is in their depot that they are now stealing and vandalizing and stealing this fuel from. So they are not restocking their depots, and they are saying, since the government is not saying anything, NNPC is not saying anything, NNPC will be the only one to be selling fuel to Nigerian citizens. I beg government, whatever it is that can be done to resolve this issue, let us see what we can do to ensure that the filling stations in Lagos and Ogun State doesn't get dry and we prevent artificial scarcity.
Okay, actually still have a story in Punch. Lagos Blue Line. So the Lagos State Rail Mass Transit said that it will commence September 4th behind schedule. If you recall, it was supposed to start sometime between March and August. The MD of the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Mrs. Abimbola Akinyajo, was saying yesterday that it will take effect, that the governor will be the first passenger from 9 a.m. on Monday. He'll be our first passenger, according to her. She said that they're going to start partially between 6:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. That's the morning peak, and then 4 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. evening peak, just for starters, until they begin to start getting more demand. The train will also stop for 90 seconds at each train station. Eventually, it will run 76 trips from 5:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. when it becomes fully operational, and they're expecting about 150,000 to 175,000 passengers to be on board daily. It's going to cost about 750 naira for a full trip. However, considering what the governor has said for 50% discount because of the subsidy removal recently, so that will also take effect and to be half price going forward. So by next week, Monday, the rail, those who have been saying that it was a elephant project. Elephant project. You know how Nigerians go on social media. That rail.
I've been on
that rail that they said they are starting, Nigerians.
I've been on the rail, and
hopefully that's busted your bubbles. Okay, let's move on to Vanguard. Global outrage over Ali Bongo's ouster in Gabon coup. NSIA stakeholders to improve cancer treatment in Nigeria. Deploying police to NURTW Secretariat, Act of Dictatorship, says LNLC. NYSC saga, rights group sue FG, wants Musawa sacked. Cabinet impasse. Sanwo-Olu, Obasa, Pale as GAC weighs in. I dare anyone in PDP to suspend me, says Wike. And NNPP crisis. No group individual can remove Kakwanso. Nigeria's solar energy potential higher than current consumption, says Ikeja Electric. Okay, which story are we taking?
Okay, I can take Kwakan. Did you take the Kwakanso story?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Nobody? Okay, I'll take it.
I'll take Wiki.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Mariam.
Your friend. The NEC, the NEC have said that no individual can remove Kwakanso as the presidential candidate and as the party leader. He says that because if you know, one faction of the NNPC, is it NNPP?
Yeah,
NNPP.
Have said that they removed Kwakanso. They're just saying that nobody can remove him. They addressed journalists yesterday, and
okay.
I actually watched Galadima, who was saying that nobody is removing him. He's the leader of the party.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Okay.
It's so stinky.
All right, another story.
Well, we have Wiki too here. He was...
Hurricane Wiki, please say it right.
Hurricane Wiki. Man, he was being hurricaney in this report. So he was on an interview in a TV station, and he was asked about, being a minister in an APC-led administration, since he is a PDP member. And he says that governance is not about membership of a political party. He says he's an unrepentant member of the PDP. He says that, and he's working, he's supporting the Tinubu administration because this is a man that means well for the country and has nothing to do with his member. I said, I never hid my intention. As a PDP member, I came out to support fairness, equity, and justice. I feel at home working for the government of President Tinubu. Is a man that means well for the country. And he says, I'm here to support the president who has confidence in me, and I owe nobody an apology. Talking about if we suspend it, he said, how can anybody talk about expelling me? With all due respect, I have not seen that person. Nobody will do it. So the issue that they will do, it does not arise. Who will discipline me? I should be the one calling for the discipline of people who violated the party's constitution on rotation of offices.
Okay.
So in that same interview, he spoke about the fact that the metro lines will be delivered in 12 months.
8 months.
Be sure, is it 8 or is it 12? Where they will?
He said 8
there are
months.
12,
I watched it.
He said there are 12 lines already.
Okay.
He said this is a project the president has personally told him was important to him, and he has applied for the money to be sent. He said that I want to know that Metro Line can take you down to the airport. It will be done. You know the way there's a language to Hurricane Wiki, and he mentioned that he's pledged his determination to deliver the project, that the president has told him to look into it, that FCT is down, and that he's been given the mandate to bring back the city.
Okay.
Okay, so
Development.
the apex decision-making body of the APC, that's the Governance Advisory Council in Lagos, have had a meeting with the Governor of Lagos State, Governor Sanwo-Olu, and the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Obasa, concerning the impasse going on right now about the governor's nominees for commissioner. They were able to wade into the dispute, resolving it, and according to a reliable source from Vanguard, saying that they have agreed to review a few others, to retain a few other nominees, but a few new names have been added. So they have been able to come to an agreement. And there was a picture on social media yesterday where we saw all the members of the GAC came together with the governor and the speaker, shaking hands, smiling and laughing.
It's politics.
They've spoken to, how they call it?
They said that 15...
Reconciliation is good for us.
Maybe 12 people will come back,
12 out of the
but
7.
5 will not. But somebody who watched it, I didn't watch it, they said when Obasa left, he didn't say goodbye to the governor.
Hey, they've started, though. Hey, Nigeria will not kill.
I didn't watch it myself. It's what I heard on the
No
radio.
problem. But I'm happy that democracy is playing out in Lagos State. Yes. So when we see that the House rejects something...
Let me not use the word politics. Let me say democracy.
Democracy.
Yes, it's supposed to check. There should be checks and balance.
Yes.
We're supposed to be able to find a compromise that results in growth.
Yes, because there's a reason why they rejected certain names, and that reason has been brought to the table, discussed, and then they'll be reconsidered.
And I'm happy with the way the governor also handled
They are your representatives, so if they know...
We have asked them, please,
Some
tell us
people
the
don't
reason.
They say they can't tell us the reason.
But because they are representing you,
That's why they don't tell us the
you
reason.
should trust that their reasons are viable.
No.
Moving on to the Nigerian
Don't
Tribune.
give me that one.
The Nigerian Tribune.
Our priests.
Gabon coup. Rule of law must not perish in Africa, Tinubu says. Let's find a story of not taken. Conflict. Red Cross records 25,000 persons missing in Northeast. Son stabs father to death over 70,000 naira in Ogun. Wow. Lagos Blue Rail Line commences September 4th. Police arrest man who threatened traditionalists in Kwara. And NSIA stakeholders partner to improve cancer treatment in Nigeria. Okay, which story?
The son.
Okay. Go ahead.
The son, 38-year-old Matthew, surname withheld, stabbed his 100-year-old father.
What?
Who he said he gave his father 70,000 last year, July, to keep for him. When he now went to him for the money, his father, Anthony, did not know where the money, could not tell him where the money was. So in his annoyance, he had lost his job. He now stabbed his father to death. He's cooling his heels in the...
I wonder why his name was withheld, though.
Well, they withheld their family name.
Yes,
okay.
to
Both of them.
Family. Alfa Salam Ayodeji, he's the Islamic cleric that was declared wanted when he threatened some traditionalists in Ilorin. The police have arrested and paraded him, and while he was being paraded, you know, he spoke and he said that he appeared sober and apologetic. He said that, and he pleaded for forgiveness, saying that he did not know that his action was dangerous and capable of causing breach of peace. If we remember, he had gone to market area and had said that where those traditionalists were renting shops, that their rent should be returned to them, and you know they shouldn't be allowed to carry out their business in that area. And he said that what he did caused a breakdown of law and order, and so he went about apologizing. He says that nobody sent him, the commissioner of police did not send him, nobody asked him to go to anybody's shop, that he did it on his own accord. He didn't realize the impact it will have on the peace of you know, the community, and he's very sorry.
Let's quickly take this story. We talk about bank fraud, we talk about accounts fraud, and just a bit of context. There's a financial report on fraud and forgeries in the Nigerian banks, and 110 top bank executives and junior member staff have been sacked for fraud in just the past 2 years. The figure rose by 175% in 2023. Between 2021, they sacked about 4 officials within the year, but in 2023, just the first quarter, they've sacked 11. These are people that have been culpable in fraudulent practices that have happened within the bank. Some of them colluded with POS vendors to defraud the bank. Some of them work in the IT sector. Point is, there are measures being taken place by EFCC to prosecute people that are involved in financial crime within the bank, and they are asking the consumer agency, consumer protection, are asking the banks to educate your staff to understand that they will be prosecuted if they are found in any way culpable in committing fraud. This affected Access Bank, GT Bank, FCMB, Wema Bank, that complained about fraud happening, and in conjunction with...
During the break, I will just you about one...
All right. That's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we want our hot topic of the day. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So yesterday, a video went viral when we saw local government chairman in Ogun State prostrate for the governor. The genesis of this was the fact that the chairman of the Ijebu East local government, Mr. Wale Adedayo, said the governor had perpetrated the illegal act of diverting their funds since May 2019. That's the allocation to the local government. Mr. Adedayo made the accusation in a letter he addressed to the former governor of the state, Olusegun Oshoba, and made public the letter on Sunday. Mr. Adedayo is a member of the APC, just like Mr. Dapo Abiodun. Now, the video went viral when the other members of the local government had approached him, they had a meeting with him, and they were seen prostrating and begging for apologizing, begging for forgiveness from the governor. Now, however, Mr. Adedayo is insisting when he spoke to reporters that He's not going back. He doesn't have. They didn't need to apologize on his behalf. But he's insisting that the funds indeed were diverted. This went viral, and people were commenting not just on the issue of the possible diversion, but the fact that they prostrated and they apologized, because he was saying that what they're doing is eye service. You know, it's not sincere, because they're not being sincere. What are your thoughts on this? Because there's so many, there's various parts of this situation. Want to go first?
This is the beauty of democracy. Not the prostrating, but the conversations that we must have. We don't need to agree. I loved, I said politics when you were commenting on the newspaper reports concerning how the governing council, the GAC for Lagos State, had tried to resolve the impasse between the governor and the speaker. And you said democracy. In strengthening democracy is that we must strengthen every aspect of democracy. The governor, the executives, the governors, the local government, and the federal government. Each of these parts, structures, are meant to support one another and, in some cases, contradict one another so that we can enhance the democratic deliverables to the people. So if we just support and we applaud the support and we don't see the times when there are some disagreements as an opportunity for us to grow democratically, then we are going to be shortchanging ourselves. So when the Ijebu, as an Ijebu person, I'm from Ogun State, is my governor, when the Ijebu person came out, the local government chairman came out to specifically say that these are the diversions that took place. And he wrote the letter to an elder statesman with the intention of, with your position of power, help us to resolve this. And then a group of other people go and beg and prostrate. That move does not strengthen our democracy. The conversation needs to be had. If there is a crime committed, it needs to be prosecuted. If it is not a crime, if it is a case of there's a part of the law that allows me to do this, but is this working for our people? We cannot say because we want to strengthen one hand, we kill the other hand. Right, so I feel that in democracy to work, conversations that are tough must take place. We don't have to agree. We don't even need to say bye-bye to each other when we finish the agreement. But the people of the state must be served and they must enjoy the dividends of democracy. Okay. That's all. Ma'am.
Yeah, so for me, what I've seen, what I see is something I have noticed over a long period of time, which is we have a theoretical understanding of democracy, but we still act like we are in pre-democratic days. We still have the obas. We still refer to our governors as the leaders, as the kings, as the obas. So we would revere them, you know, at that level, because that's what we're used to. And I'm not too surprised to see people from the local government, because they are the grassroots. That is how they would revere someone that they think is, you know, their head. But they need to understand that this is a democracy and there's a different way of dealing with it. If a governor has been accused of doing something, there's a way to handle it. There's a constitutional way to handle it. There's due process. You write a letter, either saying that what he was accused of is not true, and you give the facts, you give the numbers, you know, or you go to court. You don't go and prostrate before a governor, a democratically elected governor, and because it sends the wrong message. For me, it sends a message of, you know, almost, okay, there are two things. Is it, because the allegation is saying that the governor diverted over 10 billion, and this local government chairman that went to prostrate before him, are they saying that he actually did not divert the money, he gave it to them, and these particular ones that went there have cornered the money somehow? Or are they saying that, Governor, we know that you have diverted the money, but here we are your stooges, we are here to protect you, you know? So it does, for the whole thing, it does not look, it does not tell well for any party in this. So I would have preferred the governor say to them, you know what? Thank you for your prostration. Go and write a proper letter. We will meet in court, or this is what I have given to you. How come this particular person thinks that there has been a diversion? That is what I want to do.
So the governor himself, let me come to Wale in a moment. In his response, the governor said that he was disturbed by the baseless allegation against him. He expressed surprise at the allegation, noting that rather than starving the councils, he has actually made several interventions on their behalf to lessen their burden. He said he along with two other governors, has even gone to President Bola Tinubu to help with separate intervention fund for local councils. However, if you recall, the allegation Mr. Adedayo was saying is that the illegal seizure of their funds had crippled local governments in the state and brought their officials to ridicule before citizens of the country. Now, talking about the optics, this is a constitutionally recognized part of government.
Yes.
Federal, state, local. The fact that you are dobalaying, you are prostrating for the governor, who is just one arm of government, you are also constitutionally recognized. That's what we're talking about here. So yes, there are allegations on ground, just like you said. We can find a way to resolve it. Either go to court, either you defend yourself, have the elders come in and say, no, this didn't divert to this. But the optics of you prostrating is the issue. I want to hear
something in. I don't really, it's not even about the dobale. Dobale is a culture. I can prostrate to greet you. I can kneel down to greet YK. I haven't done it, but I can kneel down to greet YK as per Auntie Yenny that is old enough to be my mother out of respect. But as co-host on the show, the conversation is of mutual respect. That's the thing. So it's not the dobale, it's that the dobale was to apologize from one role to the other.
No, but you see, if I
apologize,
no, listen.
I can prostrate to greet you. Then stand up and have a conversation.
I can prostrate to greet YK. I can kneel down to greet YK if there's a personal issue. But if I'm going to be standing as YK's boss on certain things, where we're having an issue concerning the job, I'm not going to say, YK, so please, be coming only once a week, because we're talking. The issue is about the job. So I'm not going to kneel down because I'm talking in an office of authority. So there are two different things. So what are your thoughts on the optics of?
You see, where I'm going to take it from is how we Nigerian people misinform ourselves, or we forget that power is fleeting. If you go by how Nigerians are going to be prostrating to you and begging you and dobaling, your head will be like this.
Well, he didn't ask for it, YK. He didn't ask for it.
I'm not saying he didn't ask. I'm not saying he asked. Okay. I'm just saying this is what we do. The people who are prostrating for you are the people that are killing you. Those people, I know them. I have experienced them. I know them. They don't like you. They're just doing it for the optics, for the eye service. I have them. I employ them. YK power. That's YK power. They have siphoned half of your money. So put it. So for this governor, if I had been the governor and the president, I would just say, please first stand up.
Yeah.
Stand up. Let us talk issue. So yes. I don't think sitting down and letting them prostrate doesn't speak well of you. It doesn't speak well of them. He should have just said,
Yes.
Get up.
Yoruba people
now.
That's
what I expected.
But see, also, so when we say local government doesn't work, it's because they've subsumed their own responsibility or their own role under the governorship role. Because the truth is that even if the funds go to the state government empowers you, and you also have the authority within your local government. But when you do stuff like this, it lessens the authority that the Constitution gives to you.
Let's even break it down. The way the president is on the federal level presiding over the entire country. But even when the president wants to do something in the states, it has to be done in partnership with the states. There are constitutional rules that no matter how strong the president is, it is the state that will sign CFO. It's the governor. Same way the Constitution empowers the chairman of the local government, who has his jurisdiction, where he is an authority, where he can dominate. But when you now take away that power, some governors, Lagos State government had to fight. I remember the previous, our current president had to fight when somebody withheld the funds. It's done. It's a way of dominating you. If I control your funds, I play the piper. I will determine what kind of tune you will play. And they try to make the governor of Lagos State then, the president now, to dance in a particular way. And he said, no, I have my own constitutional power. He fought it, generated funds. That is the way we expect local government chairmen to stand based on their constitutional powers. Fight being dominated and deliver democracy to the people.
That's what Adedayo is trying to do.
It seems Adedayo is doing.
That's what he's doing. He's doing it the right way. But unfortunately, he's seen as the bad egg. They have gone to show that we are better than this man.
Service
but this man clearly is not doing it for himself. He has put his name out there. He understands that there may be political repercussions. Do you understand? And he's done it because, you know, enough of me standing in front of my people and trying to explain to them why we can't do this, why we cannot do that. When I know that we have a governor who has these funds, how he has distributed it, I am not sure. EFCC, ICPC, do the right thing. I feel that the governor should even have well, if it were me, respect for someone like that, who understands his office, who understands what needs to be done.
You see, you know why you can't have respect for him? Because of these ones that are prostrating. These ones have clouded the right thing to do.
Yeah.
They're not going to question as long as, just drop any pittance, because I'm not even going to do my work.
Let me take Yakub. He's been holding for a minute. Good morning, Yakub. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning, Mariam. Good morning, everyone.
Volume.
I totally agree with you, Morayo. You see, the reason why these guys are doing what they are doing is not because they did something wrong, it's not because they really love the governor of the state. You see, that is to tell you that there is no real election that is going on in the locality. Because I want to know, in Ogun State today, I don't know, maybe they have conducted election in that particular state. Because they did not what they are doing. Because they know the government can remove them. Because the government is so powerful. Because they know that there is no real election. If there is a real election, the deepest machine was using, I think you know that if you complain that the Mr. Governor is advising our money, and then you know that you are saying that because of your local people, and then you know that you are saying the truth, and then you stand by that truth, you know that your locality can also fight for you again. Who are you to go to Mr. Governor for state? For what? The locality needs to say something that this is our chairman, we are going to vote for you again. If you can just stand with the truth, then no Mr. Governor can remove them because there's no election in locality. Thank you, God bless you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Jakub. Let's go on a quick break now. When we come back, we round up with this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the video that went viral, and some have said that how do we draw a line between culture and eye service? You know how it's culturally accepting to prostrate, to kneel in reverence of somebody in authority, or somebody we respect, somebody who's older, but when the line seems to be blurred between authority, position, and age, how do you, as a cultural and traditional person, somebody who, especially in the Yoruba culture, you know, how do you see this and not see it as eye service? How do you see this and see it as culture display, being displayed? Is there any way this can be seen as, okay, this is just people respecting the governor, or people playing eye service?
Respecting the governor, for me, is different to what they're doing. You see, if I'm coming to greet the governor and I prostrate, that's different. I want to because I respect his position. Okay. If I have seemingly offended, or one of us has seemingly offended, and by saying the truth, and then I come and prostrate, that's eye service.
And you don't know it's the truth yet. It's still an allegation. We don't know it's the truth yet. It's still an allegation.
That's why I put.
And so how would you?
That's why I put it in inverted commas. The Adedayo guys making this allegation.
The governor has refuted it.
Oh, the governor has refuted it.
So I can still prostrate for him
to
greet.
For what?
To greet.
To apologize for what you are not supposed to have said. You are apologizing for another person that did not come with you. 1. 2, 9 times out of 10, they are probably part of the people that gossiped with the Adedayo. Yeah. Governor. So Adedayo is the one that now came out.
Yes, came out.
The
confidence one. He built.
They now went behind his back and went, this is how I am reading it, my before. So they now went and they started prostrating. We are not there, we're not. And he said, I'm sorry to say it, but that's a Yoruba attitude.
Yeah, that's eye service in our culture.
I will give you my father's story.
I beg to differ. How can you say eye service is our culture? What is that? I take exception to that statement.
We are
and they'll be greeting you. They'll be insulting you and be greeting you. We know, we do it.
Part of the culture, there must be a reason why it was used, but let's...
My father, you know, when he was alive, before he died, a few years, he used to like to come out on the balcony and just be taking breeze. You will pass and you see him sitting on the balcony. But every time he came out, there were some people selling Igbo in his compound. Plenty. Then plenty people will come. Or his women, they were his women. Then the people sleeping with the women will come. All of them were outside. When he comes out, hey, fella, papa, hey, fella. Every time. And I'm sure he knew that half of them were killing him.
Yeah.
So, you know, he now do not hail me. If you hail me, if you call my name, bim, when you see me on my balcony, I'll walk you out of my compound. Because he had realized that a lot of them that were doing all that hailing were the people that were stabbing him in his back. So that's my advice to the governor of Ogun State. With all due respect, when they come and prostrate like that, tell them to stand up and drive them away. We say you have heard.
Yeah. Let me take this call from Gani and I'll come to you, Mariam. Good morning, Gani. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, gentle ladies. The issue is not prostration or petition. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. We're listening.
The issue is not the petition or the prostration. The issue is the development in Ogun State. Go to the Adedayo local government area of Ogun State. The roads are dilapidated from Adedayo to Owode, from Adedayo to Badagry, from Aton to Adedayo, Agbara. All those places are unpassable. There is underdevelopment, if there is anything at all. The part is that the money belonging to the local government doesn't go to them. It is not the issue of whether the man petitioned. That is only one local government in Ogun State. And we are talking of 18 local governments, or how many do we have there? From Ilaro to Owode, you cannot pass it. From even to, Ota, from Otalo headquarters to Idiroko, the border town, the governor went there only once to campaign. And unfortunately, the largest number of votes he garners from the last local government election, the government election, is from that place. What have we done to this government? And this is the worst governor we have ever had in Ogun State since 1976. There is no development at all. Road is very important. The man has abandoned that place. I'm not talking of whether these people went there.
Thank you very much, Gani.
Why should I prostrate for my colleague?
Thank you very much, Gani. So Gani has told us that it's not about this frustration. The real issue is that the money for the local government really, according to him, was not provided.
So the chairperson, the chairman for Ijebu East local government, that's why he's speaking up. And I just also want to, you know, I'm reading the story and listening to this story. I want to commend him for doing what he's done, for separating himself in politics like this. Because he had first written a letter to a former governor so that that former governor could use his influence to appeal to the governor. One, for the people, and also, he also said for the party, because it will make the party look bad. So for me, this is a man that has done it the proper way, without eye service. So he had gone to an elder statesman, spoken to him, can you have a conversation with him? Maybe he would listen to you. And when it looked like it was not going anywhere, now we've taken it legally. We have taken it to EFCC and ICPC. And I think that that's the way we should look at it. And if the governor has nothing to be afraid of, if he knows that he's done his part and he's handed over the money for, you know, for this development,
so this one's frustrating.
He would even be more vindicated. He's saying, it's true. Let's go this route so that we can find exactly who the person or group of people who have diverted these funds. The truth is, for people that live in Ogun State, they can name many places where they haven't seen development.
YK is here every day now.
Exactly. So there is no, it's not as if this man has cooked up the story out of nowhere. We have money, but look at the area. So obviously there's a lapse somewhere, and we have to figure out.
YK on this show, her banter, at least 8 out of 10 of your banter is about your road in Dago. So, so there's some facts.
The under of my car is July.
Let me take this call. I'll come to you, Tokwe. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
You're live.
Morning,
Go ahead,
ladies.
please.
Yes. Let's take it from this angle. There's insecurity. There is underdevelopment across the country, and everything. And everybody looks at Abuja. And I usually say it's because the governors are not doing anything. Just look at this for insecurity. All of us who are in Lagos, we know what Babbage used to be. Everybody used to put Babbage to defecate, to pray, to do. But because of the development at Babbage, it is secure. Now, the governors, including the Ogun State governor, is not releasing funds, and there is no development. And then somebody raised his voice, the others went to prostrate. Over what? So if they work in, let's say any bank, I withdraw that. That's that for them. So if anybody works somewhere in a corporate organization, and the leadership is not doing something right, you'll be going there to prostrate? How do we move forward? The governor sat down there like the king of who? I mean, this is rubbish. It's a slap on the faces of the people they represent.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
I was going to talk about how it would look if the all the governors of the states in Nigeria now go and meet the president and prostrate to apologize for one governor who they felt was making a statement that they feel is not right. It is not, they won't even do that. Yeah. Each governor, it would water down your role as a governor to go and prostrate to the president. And that's the same way, this is the same equal stance. Yeah. Presidential jurisdiction, governorship jurisdiction, and local government jurisdiction. Everybody has their own powers, and it shouldn't be seen to be doing that kind of thing. But in talking about deliverables to the state, I took a story a few months ago about a local government in Ogun State that they said the doctors have abandoned the hospitals because the hospital had broken down. It was raining into the hospitals themselves. And so they were breaking down. I had to go online and break down the states. And these are within local government area. Yewa North local government, Shagamu, Ifo, Odeda. You would find that the primary health centers in those local rural areas have inadequate manpower and poor infrastructure. These primary health centers fall under the jurisdiction of the local government. Exactly. Primary schools fall under the jurisdiction of the local government. We don't even look to the local government anymore. And they are meant to be the ones to handle things like
exactly. So we have to wrap up because I mean I have Tijani from Otta on the line. But the truth is that we can talk all day about the prostration, but the real issue is that these various local governments are not getting the funds required. Let me take Tijani, our final call on this segment, and we wrap up. Good morning, Tijani.
My name is Mr. Kilani.
Kilani? Oh, okay. Right. They'll change it.
Mr. Kilani, yes. Hello?
Yes, you're live. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Okay. Good morning, madam.
Yes. Good morning, sir.
Ogun State local government people, they are staff. You understand? I'm going to use that word. If you come to allocations, come to application, come to, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you go to Arifanla, go to all those interlands, you will see that the government is doing nothing. You understand? We are using there. We couldn't use our cars and our benches. We have to Tokada so many times. I have my vehicle, I have my thing for more than 2 years. They couldn't address the road. All roads in the state, they are just very bad roads. You understand? And people are there collecting money, collecting taxes, collecting here and there, all those union here and there. Please, talk with the state to the program. They should do something with the local government people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kilani. We have to wrap up on this.
You see, the thing is, the people from these local governments, sorry, I have to say this, are frustrated. I am one of the people. We are frustrated because this work is not getting done. So please, they have to find a way to get this thing.
For him to come yesterday, hopefully, maybe it's the ripple effect of the letter. It's already working.
Let's not just talk about it.
This morning when I heard.
Well, it's not just Ogun State. Many states in Nigeria, with story carry that majority, only 2 states in Nigeria actually send money directly to the local government. Only 2 states in Nigeria. The local government chairman get their money as allocated. Every other state in Nigeria do not give local government the exact money that was allocated to them by the federal government. So let's put that in perspective. But the report by Premium Times carried the fact that all the primary health care centers that were visited in Ogun State, they lacked well-equipped laboratories, They lacked suction machines for new babies and other equipment for standard healthcare delivery. If you have a baby that has a crisis in local government, there is the primary health center cannot deal with it, and they are a long distance from general hospitals. These are the issues that are making probably the Ijebu East local government person to speak up concerning why, because he's the one that's getting blamed when things like this happen.
I'm also happy that I feel that Mr. Wale Adedayo, that's the Ijebu East local government chairman, has set a precedent. Like I said in the beginning, there are a lot of people, especially at the grassroots, who do not understand the democratic process. Now they understand that they have the power, they can write a petition, they can ask to see the governor, and they can also write petition to EFCC to investigate.
EFCC like should be even arrest anybody who goes to prostrate.
So we have to wrap up, but I think some states who don't send money to local government, I mean, I know I've heard in the past where they actually, some of them deduct the salaries of workers in the local governments from the, because all salaries come from the state. So there are different reasons why some local government don't get money directly, but that's not our focus today. But either way, we have to wrap up on this. But the conversation really is about how we differentiate from culture, eye service, and the constitutional requirements of the local government compared to the state governor. So those are the issues we're trying to understand. We're hoping that going forward, each of the
Calabar and his eye services specialist.
Going forward, each of the.
Your manager is watching. Why
can I wrap up this segment? We are hoping that going forward, lessons learned will be that all the independent arms of government will understand their roles, respect their roles, and deliver the dividends of democracy to the people. Let us go on a break. When we come back, move on to the next segment. Stay with us, right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. This next segment, we're discussing grief. Yesterday, August 30th, 2023, marked National Grief Awareness Day. It's a day set aside to educate people on grief and create space for loss. Joining us on the show is a grief educator and advocate, a certified advanced grief specialist, certified grief-informed professional from PESI, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, USA, Joanne Pandey. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I never knew there was anything called a grief specialist. Never even knew there was a course on that. But it's interesting to know that grief actually can be something that can be mastered in a way that where you can help somebody through it. Tell us, why do you think there's need to help somebody through grief?
Okay,
so can we even define grief first? Because maybe we don't even know what grief is.
Okay.
Let's start with definition of it.
Okay, so grief is it's a normal, natural, intense, feeling of sorrow you experience when you go through when you experience a loss, and this could be death-related or non-death related. Okay. Yeah, so that's what grief basically is.
Okay, so I feel. This, when coming to talk about this is so close to home because we had a conversation, we had a vigil in my unit in church, and the vigil was supposed to just give people the opportunity to unburden because we felt like many people were bottling a lot of things, only for the vigil to turn into the first person that spoke about grief. As in, it was, I cried for like almost 1.5 hours because people were just sharing how they've been holding on to the grief, how they cry by themselves, how they have to be strong for their parents. Like several stories. I'm talking 10, 15 people. I'm in a crowd of 20. It was like 80% everybody was going through dealing with grief and they did not understand how to overcome it. So we don't talk about this enough. So I would like you to help us understand. We read stages of grief, but how do you even come to terms with the fact that you've lost someone or you've lost something and you are unable to move on from it?
Okay, so basically, of course, grief affects you emotionally, psychologically, physically, relational, spiritually. And so when people, experience whatever loss, whether death-related or non-death-related, the initial shock, especially when it's, death-related now, the shock that they get, depending on who the person was to them, what relationship they had, the age, and then they are not able to cope well because of that, either the attachment style that they had, and then because also the culture and the society does not allow people to voice out, because you have all sorts of grief. You have, like what you mentioned now, I could pick that. There's what disenfranchised grief. So someone is there, has lost a parent, maybe a dad or a mom, and then they're not acknowledging that child, but they are saying, oh, you have to be strong for your parents. No, not your parents, because I remember when my mom died, when everybody came, nobody asked me how I was. They were like, you are your dad, because he's 80. You have to take care of him so that he doesn't die, And here I'm like, I just went through a traumatic experience, watching her die. So that it makes it difficult for people to be able to, move forward, with life, integrate the grief and all of that.
So where do you come in for people who are having difficulty with expressing their grief? How do you come in?
I come in, well, as a specialist or as a counselor. So when people, when you are finding it difficult, because sometimes we say, okay, the first primary level you go to is your friends, family, colleagues, support. But when you find out that you are still stuck in either of the phases, of grief, then you need a professional to come in to help you, to unpack and embody.
Sorry. How do you know? Okay, I'm asking this because there's some people we've heard who say, I didn't realize I was even dealing with it until I sat with someone and all of a sudden the floodgates opened. So how do I, myself, or if a family member or a friend notice that they may need counseling, what do I see that they're dealing with? Apart from the traumatic event itself, like what behavioral symptoms do I see to then advise that they see someone like you?
Okay, so if they're preoccupied with the thoughts of the deceased, and they just can't, well, according to the DSM-5, which is like the Bible of psychiatry and things like that, they say grief is, although there's no timeline in grief, that's why we're still arguing with them anyway, but they say for kids it's 6 months and for adults it's 12 months, whereby after the loss you are inhibited, you can't even go about your everyday activity. It's hindering every aspect of your life. You're not socializing anymore. You can't even get out of bed. It's that bad. Some people can't even get out of bed.
They get into depression.
Yes, and then they get into, depression. Not the clinical depression, of course.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I was going to say, sometimes, I think with men, for instance, men suffer it more because they always say, you are a man, you have to be strong, don't cry. So most men, when they lose loved ones, they don't let it out, they don't cry, they are strong. And then, do you think that there is a psychological effect on these men? Like, I'll give you, my mother died in 2002. My brother did not cry till like 2016. And it was something that just triggered it. And so do you think that after that, those tears,
he must have gotten...
He got relief?
Do you think crying helps?
Oh, yes.
With dealing with grief?
Well, that's one of the ways, of course, to let out them. Because crying is very therapeutic. It's cathartic. It helps you to release those stored up emotions. Those chemicals that come out of in tears are actually very therapeutic. So, but it's not everybody who cries, because you have different types of grievers. So just like you have your right-handed person and the left-handed. So it depends on when the client comes in and you're assessing the client. I check for, okay, so where are you leaning towards? Where do you lean towards?
What are the ways, other ways?
What are the types of griefs, people? What are the various types of griefs?
Oh, there's so many. Okay, so I talked about disenfranchised grief. There's masked grief. There's inhibited grief.
There's what grief?
Masked.
What does that mean? Mask.
It's masked.
Oh, M-A-S-K.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Grief. There's inhibited grief. There's traumatic grief. And, you know, just lost. Anticipatory grief. You know, that's when, okay, so someone is going to go through a divorce eventually.
And they're already
grieving. You get a diagnosis on health, cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's, you know. So they go through that. That means there's a loss already before the actual loss, the demise of that person, or the breakdown completely of the marriage.
My question, therefore, is how... So there's somebody right now watching television, and she just lost a loved one, either a child, or spouse, or mother, and he or she is traumatized, doesn't know what to do next. Now, what kind of support can family give? Because usually when somebody loses somebody, you don't even know what to do. You go there sometimes, and then it is well, you know, God's time is the best, or, you know, all sorts of things. People say all sorts of things. They don't know how to help somebody who is grieving. You just want to be there for the person, but you don't know what to say. So as a grief expert, what do you think? How can we help somebody who is grieving? What kind of support system do we give them? Okay. How do we equip ourselves?
Well, okay, before you refer the person to a professional, what you can do is take initiative. So you know this person before the death. Maybe the person was a married person. They have kids, you know, rather than say, oh, if you need anything, give me a call. Hello? That person is never going to give you a call because they are so occupied with that pain. So you take the initiative as a support, you know, system.
Food, keep the children.
Bring food, take the kids to school, you know, help out, come to the house, you know, all of those little things. Like when my mom passed, I didn't even realize that I would need soup at home. I just knew the kids were going to school, but a friend bought a cooler of stew. And that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, that's true. We need food in this house. You know, so sometimes people who are grieving don't even know. And then when you see that they are not their usual self, you can speak to them. Because I was talking about the types of grievers. Some people are, you know, introverted, so they're instrumental grievers. They process their grief through thinking, you know, and they rather get into activities, you know. And then you have people who are intuitive grievers. They process their feelings by talking, you know, so they
give them
I fall into that category, you know. So whether you wanted to know or not, when my mom died, I was talking. I would tell you how it happened, how I walked into the hospital and she passed. That was how I was coming to terms with her death, you know. So, but of course, none is good, but you have to oscillate between the two to get the balance. So, but when you see that, especially for the introverted people, it is hindering their life. Just you can recommend, pay for the services for them, because most of the clients I have, people pay for them because very few times would
you be able to think of it by yourself?
I really want. So that's it, you know.
So there are a group of people that I worry about. Okay. The ones that you just don't see any sign of grieving. You know that this person has gone through
and they are not doing anything or saying anything.
They're not doing anything, and they are working hard. In fact, that's when they put in their best, or they put in all their energy and their time just doing, but you know that they haven't stopped to grieve. So is that healthy, or do you find a way to help them facilitate grieving?
That's not healthy. So they tend to lean towards the instrumental type of grievers. But what they can, I mean, before, I always say the professional is always the last, you know, leg. They can journal. Some people are creatives. They can draw, you know, music. They can get into dance. So you can suggest all of this.
The things you know,
and then they have
help
to
them.
come. Yes, and then they have to come to accept, because that's the first basis for healing.
So this is very close to home for me. My mother-in-law passed about 3 weeks ago, and I just feel like my husband is so okay. You know, I keep asking him, like, how are you doing? Like, I've asked over and over, and it's like, he's fine. But I just feel like we've not gone through, you know, because I am a crier. I'll be crying, and if I know that crying helps me to let go of that emotion. But I don't know how to support in that space, and that was what mine was. And I don't really even think I can suggest fun things for him to do. It doesn't feel appropriate because, like,
I'm good.
yes, he's saying he's good, and he's actually looking like he's good, he's behaving like he's good, and he's going on. It's not me that is reminding him again and again that Mama's gone. So I'm the one over-grieving the situation on his behalf. So how will someone on the side like that react? How can I best support and how can I deal with that kind of situation since I'm not feeling the grief the way I feel he should be grieving the grieving?
Thank you. Well, that's good that you said you are trying to judge him based on your own type of your grieving style. He's different. So you have to let him, give him some space, you know. Has she been buried? She hasn't. Okay, fine. So he's still probably trying to come to terms with it because when the loss is 3 weeks ago, so he's probably still in acute grief. You know, and all of that, which is like the first few days, weeks, and months after the loss. So maybe when he eventually sees her being buried, it doesn't follow anyway. Some people can, you know, very small percentage of people can actually, you know, just learn to integrate. They accept quickly, and it depends on how old she is.
She's old.
So if she's advanced, so I mean, he can quickly.
One of the reasons why I wanted to ask about the different types of grieving is because we've seen in our culture where somebody loses someone and they're rolling on the floor and they're displaying and wailing, and people say, yes, she really, really, really missed this person. And then another person is holding her own. Something happened, and family thinks she must have killed her husband. She's not crying. She's not wailing. She's not screaming. She's not rolling on the floor. And she just has that kind of inner strength to just stay whole. So it's important that we talk about grief because people must know there are different types. That's why you have to give us some kind of understanding of the various types of grieving so that people know the various styles actually, so that people know that there are different ways. For someone like me, where my mother was sick, like 8 weeks or 10 weeks before she died.
She did that.
And the moment, so during that period, I was trying to get her. It's possible I was already grieving already. Anticipate possibly. So when it happened, I couldn't just cry. I was in project mode. Get the funeral, all that needs to be done. My brain was on project mode. And honestly, I think it was only during one of the meetings I had with the planner talking about they'll take the corpse from here. When I heard corpse,
it dawned on you.
Just I mean, I lost it. You know. So, but I also believe that not totally fully come to terms with.
But you never come. You know, that's the funny thing. Grief never ends. It never ends. You know. So, but the pain wanes. That's it. The intensity of the pain will wane over time if you process it rightly. But that grief ends, it doesn't end. I mean, you lost that's your mom, that's your father, that was your brother. You had the relationship, and that's why I always say, let's stop using the word, move on now, you should move on. No, rather in grief, we say you move forward with life. So that's when the person learns to integrate the loss with their everyday living, and then they can respond to joyous occasions, you know, and all of that.
My sister died 26 years ago. I still cry.
Talk about it.
That's it. Yes.
I still cry. And if I talk about her, I start to cry.
Yes, because she was part of you, you know. So, but what we see is that people try to tell people how they should grieve. I mean, you mean 26 years ago as she died? Come on, you should have. It's very...
Or they'll say things like, she's now at peace. She's now out.
Those words. Or actually, when you go... I mean, I know... I'll shake this table, especially for us as Christians. When you go and see somebody, please, these things are empty platitudes. You don't say the words... it is well. At that point, it is not well with that person. We understand what you mean.
Okay,
and then
so
if we need to,
you say,
I am so sorry for your loss. You know, it's just okay. And if you don't have anything to say, silence.
Keep quiet.
Is golden. You know, and take your cue from the griever. So if you go and visit and the person is willing, and then please don't ask. What happened? We want to, because you know the human mind can't really wrap itself around the finality of death. So you want to know, especially when the person is young, what happened? You know, sometimes that reliving that thing for some people is trauma. you know. So just take your cue from the griever. But like, if you're somebody who likes to talk, like me, the gist was everywhere. You know,
don't ask it. Wait,
wait, take a cue, exactly, and then don't say be strong, because that person doesn't even know how to be strong.
My son-in-law lost his mom on Sunday.
Oh,
you know, and he wasn't expecting. It was a massive stroke. She had the stroke in the morning. By evening, she was dead, and I couldn't call him because they don't live in Nigeria. I couldn't call him because I didn't know what to say. So I waited till late in the evening, and then I'll read the text I sent. So shocked and sad to get the news. Please accept my heartfelt condolences. Not sure you will feel like talking. Take good care. We'll speak tomorrow if you can.
That's so sweet.
Was that an appropriate message?
Yes, yes. And that's also part of the grief etiquette. So reach out immediately, you know, through text, calls, you know, and all of that. And that was just appropriate, you know. Nice. So maybe through your daughter, you know, you can find out how is he willing to talk.
He's not even willing to talk.
He's not willing. Yeah. Okay, fine. So they can leave him, you know, let him, because the shock. I always tell people it's something else.
All right, let's talk about culture shocks. Where I come from, when someone passes, you are in mourning. Everywhere is quiet. You come, you greet in a nice, quiet voice. You pay your condolences and you go. Come to Lagos. Somebody dies. They are throwing party up and down. You're
cooking every day.
And I'm like, what is happening here? I've had someone who, my former boss, when I was working in the bank, he lost his mom. And people came to say, you don't chop your mama. I was in shock. I was like, what is this?
It's not a joke.
But it was a joke to them, and they understood. So I don't get it. I don't.
It's the ones that cry more than the bereaved that I don't get. They will enter the house. Yeah! You didn't even know the person that goes, yeah! And they'll be looking. So me that I didn't cry when I entered.
Am I the devil?
They will throw themselves on the floor. Hey, I love her so much.
No, but why? We shouldn't judge. She already said we shouldn't
judge. I know. I didn't say that's not the person.
And you drink.
And you forget the tears will just dry up immediately.
And they bring amala, and you are swallowing the amala. You are eating the rice and the meat. And you just cried, but you are eating it.
Well,
we shouldn't judge them still. Yeah.
I guess you already know what it is.
I've seen somebody enter a house where the parents, the mother died or someone, I can't remember, and she entered, she threw her bag down, fell on the floor. She didn't cry, she didn't come in crying. She just entered. Yeah!
I have them plenty.
Well, maybe the reality,
maybe entry the room.
Yes, the shock. And then you see the picture, you know, by maybe the entrance.
Yeah.
It now drives it. You know, there's this thing at the back of your mind that it's true, it's not true.
Yeah.
I'm going to confirm it's true, it's not true. Can it be? You know, I mean, because even years after, I mean, I experienced it also. There were days that you just come like a flash, and I'm like, are you telling me my mom is really dead?
Let me take this call from Rose. Good morning, Rose. Thanks for calling from Jos. Oh, I'm so sorry, Rose, for keeping you apologizing.
So, so that we're not just gisting. It's important that there are people that mourn different things. You know, people mourn loss of family. Some people mourn. Somebody was saying that she mourned the loss of her friend, that she's lost both parents, but that she mourns the loss of her friend more than she mourns the loss of her parents. Yeah. And because her friend, there was like a tight bond with a friend, how she had a friend had planned how they were going to dress for their kids' weddings. And so she's wondering, how am I going to attend my children's wedding? Like, we had painted the entire picture. So she's constantly grieving her friend's loss, and she's unable to even be a mother to the children of her friends. And that is another guilt that she's feeling. So she's feeling she's lost her friend, and then she's feeling like I should be a mother to my friend's children, and I can't even look at them and, like, I'm not rational. How can such a person move forward is the word, and be able to stand in the gap and be a mother to those friends, the friends' children.
Okay, so how long ago was this?
I think it's about almost 5 years, yeah.
Okay, so it's very possible. She has to come in for assessment before. I wouldn't want to just diagnose her. She's probably having PGD, prolonged grief disorder, because we see that. Yes. So.
What are the symptoms of PGD?
Okay, so her not being able to go on with life, you know, the things she's supposed to do normally. It's one of the major criteria.
Somebody not being able to marry. I read one on Instagram. The lady said she...
Let me pause you for a second. I have a call been holding.
Not wanting to. She was in a relationship and she jeopardized relationships.
Let me take a
There's
call.
a call and I have to read some messages.
Patience from my Baba. Thanks for calling, Patience.
Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Yeah, my name is Patience. I'm calling from my papa.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm interested in this topic because I have an issue that happened last year. I lost a son of 7 years. And I said I lost my son of 7 years. And I try to, at times when I want to grieve about the boy, you know, people will come and tell you, it's okay, don't say anything. If you say anything, you sin against God. You will do this, you will do that. And, you know, it pains me up to this very moment that I find it difficult to grieve about the boy. So my question is, how do I go about it? Because it's eating me up gradually. In short, like the whole day I can be sad that I don't even know how to go about it. And next month we'll mark it 1 year. But this side of me, I know that I'm grieving, I'm dying silently. So how do I go about it?
Thank you very much, Patience. Sorry for your loss. Really, really, our heart goes out to your family. But let me come to our experts here. How do you help someone like Patience in this matter?
Okay, so from what she said, so she's probably having some inhibited grief because of culture. Okay. Culture is the one holding her down. You know, I would say first and foremost, free yourself. Patience, right? That's her name. Yes. Yes. Please, I mean, nobody should tell you how you should, especially because you see, when death occurs, you have a lot of existential questions. You question why you're alive. Is there God? If God loved me so much, why did he take my son? You know, and then as a parent, there's the issue of guilt that creeps in very silently because you are supposed to protect. So you feel you let your child down. You know, this child died. It shouldn't have. I should have. I could have. You know, and all of those halves comes in. But, you know, she would also need to come in for us to do assessment, you know.
All right, talking about
listen to all of that.
Losing a child, especially in our culture, one of the hardest things, well, I don't know if it's hard, but the truth is that in our culture, they don't allow you to bury your child, you know, and abroad, you see that the parents almost find closure in burying their own child, saying that, okay, they get the cemetery, look at the child, and they hand over to God or whatever. But in our culture, you're not even supposed to see the child, know where he was buried. And sometimes people find it very difficult. Because I remember somebody was saying that was the hardest part of losing her child, that she can't even go to talk to her child. She doesn't know where the child was. It was a taboo for you to know where your child was buried. How do we, in your own, as an expert in this regard, do you think is the right culture, or do you think we should really reconsider where in this kind of situation?
It's really not, and that's the part of advocacy too that I, you know, do. And I say, let people grieve. Don't tell people the way they should. You know, let them. If she says she doesn't want, she can't. I can't look at the child. Fine. You know, I can't look at the spouse or the person, whoever. Some people, even adults, they're like, I don't want to look. Fine. And if the person says, I want to, you know,
don't say culturally is not allowed.
Don't stop. Exactly. Yes, because you see, that also can contribute to PGD, prolonged grief disorder, you know, and because the questions will keep coming in, you know, into their minds, plaguing them. Where's this child? How did the child look? You know, eventually when they were in the coffin and things like that. All of this, you know, preparing for the burial and funeral service are part of the mourning process, you know, that helps you to start coming to terms with it. You know, these things cannot be seen because they are intangible. We don't know that it has a lot of effects on the person. Even the person, you don't even realize it yourself. That these things are very therapeutic and has a lot of effect, positive effects on you.
Let me take Kelechi and I'll come to you, Mariam. Kelechi from Shasha, thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, ladies. Please, I want to speak to two people there. Number one is your guest and YK. Please, let me start with YK. YK, I will say congratulations for using your influence to draw the attention of the governor in your place. please use the same influence, draw the attention of Sonwolu to Katangwa market, because that market is something else. I have written about it, I have complained bitterly about it. That's apart. Now, I want to ask your guest speaker a question. Please, I know that what causes this grieving or depression-related issues, like sentimental attachment to certain things. Now, I want to ask, is it possible to live a detached life from, from issues of life, from material things, just live the life free of all this sentimental attachment? If it is true, please tell us how. And because of these issues Christians go through, I query Christian faith, because for me, it holds no water. So please advise me, how do I go about it?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
He said grief might be because we are living sentimental lives and attachments to, we are living a life of attachments. That can you just decide to live, is it possible to live a life without any attachments and no sentiments and just be able to let things go?
Well, I would say that's not possible, because as human beings, we are created, to have emotions and have relationships. And I guess I would, because you see, this thing runs very deep. I would question that thinking belief, yes, that belief system. What did you go through from childhood? Because sometimes a lot of people, that's why, they say grief is everywhere. Some people don't even recognize it, so.
The detachment is a grief.
Yes, that's a coping mechanism, a negative coping mechanism. Over time, he probably has used. So what happened that created that kind of belief system that you have, that you shouldn't be attached, to anything? Because even as Christians, like I said, even Jesus grieved. He wept. He showed emotion. Because human beings are relational.
Yes, I just wanted to say I have my personal experience when my grandmother died. I was here in Lagos. I had to go, and I remember when we were supposed to go to the hospital, the final, take care of her interment. I was so afraid to go. I did not think I could cope seeing my grandma in a casket. But then I went. My mom walked around. And when I saw her, she looked so different from how she was. And that gave me peace. I'm like, that's not my grandma in a casket going into the ground. And, I brought it up because she was saying our culture, would say parents should not see. But I've also seen Oyinbo people, like, if you
lose the baby.
If the accident was such a traumatic one that affected the person's physical being, they won't want you to see. They will say, you hear things that it's best to remember that person as you knew them, not as they were. Yes. So the thing is, from what I'm understanding, you can clarify that it's best for a person to choose,
yes, that's it,
how they would want to grieve.
Exactly.
And in doing that, so I think I'm trying to say, what do we say to society? What do we say to Nigeria? What do we say to when someone decides, see, I'm insistent, I want to grieve this way?
Let them be, let people be. And funny enough, the interesting thing is not just prevalent alone with Nigerians, even abroad. Because, most of the courses that I do, and you have all the lecturers coming in, and they're telling you, because they're also therapists too, and all of that, they see clients. And you hear these things. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's just a human nature thing,
When my sister
Let me take this call, Let me hang. Amarachi calling from Bagada. Thanks for calling. Oh, we lost that call. Go ahead, Wake.
When my sister died, I didn't want to see the body. And then I just looked but I always regretted that I didn't kiss her and say goodbye. So when my mom died, she died 5 years later, and I must say my mom never recovered from my sister's death. I think that was what even aided her death.
It's possible.
She was only 60 when she died. I made sure I kissed my mom before she was cremated, and I got peace from that.
I have a few comments
That
here.
peace that I didn't get with my sister.
There's a man, Mr. K, in the Adedayo was saying that, listen, I'm still grieving. He wrote it about 10 times. So even now that he's watching, he's grieving because he lost his wife. I'm using glasses because I was literally crying every moment her thought crosses my mind. And she just wants to know, he wants to know asked the lady how men can overcome the loss of their spouse. I mean, that's a connection that many of us can understand. We understand the connection between a man and a woman. So in a situation where you lose a spouse, how do you overcome, especially for a man?
For a man.
Yeah, yes, exactly, because we're culturally, we're already saying, no, men don't grieve, men don't cry, and all of that. Okay, so I would say, if you've experienced a loss before, or how were you able to deal with any kind of loss, you know, that shows you resilience, you know, because there's something we call loss of time. So, you know, there are different techniques we bring in, you know, that to help a client. So it's not the one-size-fits-all treatment, so to say. So, but I would say, okay, so how are you able to deal with loss when it occurs, if you've ever experienced, and then your support system, how do you let out when you are even stressed naturally? You might not feel like doing those things now, you know, but little by little. I remember, you know, I listened to a lot of skits, you know, both international. It helped me. Right. And then one thing that happens is fear comes, you know, when fear of the future and all of that, insomnia, you know, so these irritable bowel syndromes, headaches. But I know, and I would love to say, because she's mentioned something that her sister died before her mom, and she feels it must have contributed. Yes, I always say grief, it's even proven, you know, that grief either exacerbates an existing illness or triggers an entirely new illness, because it's emotional, and we've seen, you know, through research that 70 to 90%.
We have to wrap up soon. There's something that came up that I wanted to ask a question about.
Okay, so you know, it's a deep topic. We have many angles. Some people were talking about grieving partner, grieving. Some people grieve children. Some grieve a mixed abortion. You got pregnant and then the baby didn't even form. Then you grieve stillbirth.
People grieve infertility.
But people grieve a loss of a job.
Yes, marriage.
You know, people grieve things that you see is not, they didn't die.
Yeah.
But there was an opportunity and you lost it, and you can grieve that opportunity because you feel like I might never have this kind of opportunity again.
So I think, because we're going to be wrapping up talk, but I think it's important for us to, this conversation is important for Nigerians to understand that grieving happens in different ways.
Yeah.
And a lot of people grieve. They have to in certain situations.
Exactly.
My concern is the modern time. We're having social media. Many people, when you lose somebody, you come online and you start talking. And we have this issue of Pete Doche and all drama going on. I don't want to go into the issues, but the truth is that you would think that somebody who's lost a son would be quiet. But sometimes people think that's how they're grieving. Just go on social media, posting this and posting that. For you, there are different ways. I'm not saying that's the right or the right chosen way, but in this modern time, people feel it's therapeutic to go online and spill your heart out, or talk about the person, or just say things, or just act as if it didn't happen. So there are different ways. So my question is, in modern times, when we see people grieve, when somebody grieves, and we see them display on social media, is that an indication that they need professional help? Or do you think it's therapeutic to express yourself, or to, maybe that is the therapeutic for them to get over this grief?
Yeah, it might be, because that's where they get...
Because I feel it's part of it, which is social media, that maybe I sometimes feel that because of social media, we distract ourselves from even actually grieving, and we prolong it. Do you agree? Just a social media question as well.
True, yes, because we can actually deliberately inhibit, you know, because it's very painful, and grief is hard work, you know, to go through. So, yes, somebody can want to come on social media and talk about it, because that way they might get the support. Because let's be real, sometimes you don't get support from your family or your friends or the people you think, or church or colleagues, sometimes. But I would say, you think about it, wait, because you know you would always have like a backlash. Are you ready for it, you know, or why don't you give it some time? And for some people, it is. We really can't tell, you know. They're who they are.
Just don't judge.
Like someone here said, when her mom died, I think, Fiona, she says they came and said, welcome to the club. She felt so hurt.
Very insensitive.
I remember somebody told me that. And honestly, I had made that mistake until, of course, you know in parts. And then I used to, when people die, you know, the West here, we say omoloku and things like that. I've said it to people who die, you know. So when my mom died, for me, you know, from my mom. When somebody said it to me, the way I snapped at her, and I said, don't call me that, because it felt like a knife pierced. Yeah. So I said, oh, so how did others feel when I said it? You know, so I say, sometimes don't say these things. But it also depends on the individual. Yeah. Some people might not cringe. Some people might cringe. If they cringe, and grievers, please, let people know what you want and let people know how they can help you.
Let's take a few comments on social media before we wrap up. I know that there might be some questions.
20 comments. So.
Oh, let's take
this is very deep.
We have to wrap up very soon. I was going to read something from a friend of mine. I wouldn't mention, I'm not sure she's still grieving. Let me just see her message here. She had sent me a message midnight a few days ago. She said, Mariah, I don't know how you handle it. Sorry, it's midnight. I lost my mom exactly 3 weeks ago. I'm so pained. I've lost 7.4 kg in 3 weeks. She was my best friend. We spoke daily. I'm the last born. More painful was that she was supposed to come to Canada to meet them. She was supposed to leave, 2 weeks departure to her time that she died. I'm so overwhelmed. Can't eat, can't sleep, can't go to work, you know, and she's really going through a lot. And this was just a couple of days ago. So she's grieving.
I know the person.
You know the person?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I already said, it's the intent, it's the acute grief. It's very intense. This is when you feel like you're going to die. Your heart is going to stop. How am I? There's just the shock, you know, and the numbness, you know, is still there. But, you know, like I said, and I told her already, you need to take it one day at a time. One day at a time. In fact, 1 hour at a time. Okay, so I got up from bed today. I was able to drive to work. Fine. Give yourself a break. Just take it one day at a time. And the shock, of course, was all the preparations and some personal things, you know, that would aggravate. Because so the relationship, the age, and all of that, our personality affects the way we grieve. You know, for some people, their parents will die and they're like, duh.
But you know, this also makes me realize that in Africa, when you're grieving, you're surrounded by loved ones. But if you're abroad,
it's very,
everybody's working.
Alone.
No,
you have to grieve alone.
You might, sometimes, I always say reach out.
Not if you're African.
If you don't have that friends and colleagues, of course, because of the kind of, then please reach out to a professional, you know. So you need a safe, non-judgmental place to just unburden and talk if you are in that, you know, category. But if you don't want to, some people, I say journal. There's power in writing.
Ah, I like that.
Serious power. Yeah. You know, I have a client who I'm working with, you know, and by the time we met yesterday, and she had some assignments, you know, to do, and she was, sometimes the clients could read what they wrote to you, and sometimes it's up to them. And she was doing that. It was, I could see the difference. She was coming to terms with it. She was accepting it. There was positivity in her statements, unlike a week ago. So there's power in journaling, writing. Write how you feel. Don't forget about grammatical errors.
Nobody is reading it, just for yourself.
You know, just write it.
We have to wrap up. Thank you so much. Oh my
no
God.
time to read any messages, I mean.
We have 2 seconds. Go ahead, Wake. If you have any.
Okay.
2 seconds.
Mina TP is saying, oh my gosh, can I find it? Oh,
no.
I can't find
Okay, we have to run, but thank you so much, Joan Pandey,
for having me.
Coming this morning to show us how we can grieve and how to help those who are grieving. That's all we can take on today's show. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.